Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight was, and also I hope you are really taking good care of yourself. Get plenty of water depending on where you are. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Digman. Plus, you can give my videos a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy, swing by and say hi to Starlight. And also, you can leave a message down below, beep, 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 and don't forget the notification bell. And you can share my videos with your family, your friends, a bear, and a raccoon. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you can follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that's Kathy with a K, Digman Starlight. So tonight, I want to reach out to all of you. Is people that have kids, or maybe you're single and you don't have kids right now. So these are some lessons that you can teach your kids, and you might actually get some help too with these videos, because there's some things that adults still have to learn, that the children will be learning. So anyway, is that we're all God's children anyway. So we all have a lot of growing up to do in one area or another. So anyway, I just got done making a video, and because of that, I figured, hey, I really do. I want to reach out to all of you on things that I have learned as far as being a mom, having two kids that are adults now. And besides, Starlight started out really super young, babysitting my sister, which was a baby, so I started babysitting. I didn't get paid when I was I was a baby myself, but Starlight did start babysitting at a very, really young age. And when she got older, like 12 years old, babysitting. So I love children. So this video is to help parents that either, depending on your age of your children, though, that is the thing. Sometimes, the damage is already done when it comes to older kids, because, they've been programmed their whole life to be a certain way, and now it's like, they might have to figure that out on their own as adults, and they might, they might not understand it right now. And, so that is, they got their own lessons to deal with later on when they want to, a lot of times kids will want to get their own way, right? Weren't you like that? Oh, no, you were, because I do bump into these people where they claim that, hey, I was a perfect child, but, I don't know about that. So I do know that there's really sweet children out there that really, really didn't give their parents a hard time. Yeah, but were they perfect? Absolutely not. So things that I've learned as far as either being a mom myself, or witnessing things out in public, and that could be even when I used to help out at churches before, doing a bus ministry, picking up kids, off the streets and bringing them into church. I wasn't literally picking them off the streets, but I did go knock on their door, and talk to the parents, okay? I didn't kidnap people's kids. Sometimes Starlight just wanted to save these kids from their parents sometimes. But things that you could learn yourself or teach your children. And but a lot of these have to happen when you start off having your children, is like I just was talking about, is to teach your kids patience. And like I said, that might be something you have to learn. So and it starts when the child comes out of the womb, and you think, out of the womb, really? Yeah, they're super smart. Don't let those, even though that baby is like that small, they're not stupid. And they're gonna, like grow, and they're gonna study you. and they're gonna, learn so much about you. Like you're gonna find out later on, like, wow, they are super smart. They are, they're studying you like you're studying them. And so when it comes to babies, though, when it comes to like whining and crying, is make sure, everything is taken care of. That they don't have, if they got a wet diaper, yeah, change it. If they didn't eat in a while or they didn't have their bottle, yeah, feed them. But make sure you go through that checklist. Like I used to actually have the checklist written down. Okay, clear, 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 clear. And then there's sometimes we miss things that we didn't have on the list. Like now these days, everything is different for what you can and can't do, or what you should or shouldn't do with your children, especially if they're in the crib, like not having any toys in the crib. Where a long time ago when I had kids, everything, all the rules changed, the safety stuff. And so now everything is really out there, as far as safety goes for children. And so like if they're crying, it is, if you do have toys or they fell asleep, with their pacifier, it's going to fall out of their mouth many times, and they might be crying, and you might not like, everything's good with the baby, and why is the baby crying? Well, maybe it's sleeping on the pacifier. So you always want to make sure, is the baby laying on anything? But some of you really just don't like, who likes hearing their baby cry? I don't see anybody raising hands. So no, nobody really, unless you like to torment your kids. There's some people out there that have unclean spirits that they only do it because they like hearing them cry. They like, but most parents don't want to hear their children cry, and that's why they run to their aid and like, oh, I gotta do something to get them to stop crying. But as long as they are okay and there's nothing wrong with them, and they're not, the food that they're eating is healthy. They could have stomach pains and stuff like that. That's why you got to be mindful if, and you got to really listen to their cry. Their cry, just like the animals, the animals know, like when something's wrong with their animal, their babies, so there's certain pitches and sounds that babies will make where you're like, what, that cry is different. It's actually, something might be, the mommies should know, or even the daddies, might sense that something is off right now. So, and there's no way for babies to really communicate with you, let you know that, hey, my stomach hurts. I don't know, because especially when babies are getting big enough where they're eating table food or even baby food, is, if you're not feeding your child the right kind of diet and you're giving them the wrong stuff, and I've seen this over and over again. My kids did not experience this, even though I wasn't eating healthy at the time, but a lot of kids suffer from constipation at a young age, very young. My grandson went through that. It was horrible. So, so with that is that those are different stories, when they are in that kind of really bad pain. Sometimes they hurt themselves, when you didn't know it, you could have been right there and, something could have hit their finger, so that is okay for them to cry and to comfort them when they do have those kind of problems, but not to over panic because they're going to see how you are as a parent. So just because your child, depending on how bad the child got hurt, be careful and mindful of how you respond to what's going on, because your kids are going to fall many times. They're going to bump their heads many times, the normal everyday kind of stuff, with little toddlers, and when they start walking and all that, that is a different story. I'm talking about just crying, and there's nothing wrong. So I want to clarify all that. So if there's nothing wrong, they didn't hurt themselves and nobody else, brothers or sisters weren't around like beating them up when you weren't looking. And that's one thing you got to pay attention to is when you have kids, is if you have more than one child, or even your pets, be mindful of the pets that are around your baby. Absolutely. Some dogs or cats can get jealous, especially dogs can get jealous of the baby. So you definitely really, it's not wise to leave your kid alone with, especially when it's new to a pet. You know, don't leave your babies alone with a dog or a cat. Shit can happen. So just be mindful of that, because things, do happen. A lot of times it's by accident, like a cat. A cat loves playing with stuff all the time. If the baby is doing something, has like something in its hand, and it's like, and it's like a string thing, and the baby's old enough not to, know to eat it, and this is what happens with dogs or little dogs or cats, is that the cat might think the child's playing with the baby, depending on how old the baby is, or even a young child. So you definitely got to be mindful of those kind of things with your kids or even your grandkids, is to really make sure the animals, you're always there with your child if the animals are around. And it's hard, especially with a cat, or even a dog, is to be mindful. But when it comes to children, crying for no reason, is let them cry. It's good to let them use that throat chakra, let them cry. You know what? Put some music on. Put some like 528 or 432 hertz music on, or something gentle and calming and relaxing, or nature music. That's not really the time that you want to put dance music and heavy metal music. You really want something calming and relaxing, so your child is not, getting triggered by certain things, because music can trigger babies just like people. And I witnessed this myself. So is to really be mindful, or like, if you're, what I did with my children is distracted them a lot. It was fun. I had a lot of fun. I worked on my son. My son does not have a temper. How did I do that? Number one, he never saw his mom having a temper. That helps. My son is really good about, like his attitude and, being calm and cool and relaxed. So with him, little tricks of the trade, little tricks out there that you can do with your kids is what I did. But it's not going to work with all the kids or even the parents. If you're not good at what you're doing, then it might backfire, because it's a vibration that you're bringing out, just like a dog or a cat. They are really good at tones. Children are really good at tones and how they make them, they listen to those different tones. And so Starlight did this to my son. It was so funny. Is when my son, he was old enough, he knew what I was talking about. He was at that age where he understood words. He was putting sentences, a little bit of sentences. I don't know if he was quite in school yet, so it was really close to the time that he would have been going to school. It might, so when he had a little tantrum because he didn't get his own way, what do I, Starlight, what were you tormenting your child? No, I was teaching him patience. I was teaching him, no, you're not getting that. You want it, you're not getting it. So these are different things that you can teach your kids. See, I just have actually got three things going on. Is you can distract your children, because if they want like a toy and or to do something, and it's not the time right now. Say if you want to have dinner ready, but they don't want to get to the dinner table and they're giving you a hard time and they want to play a game, and you say, no, we got to go eat dinner, or no, you got to stop doing that. We got to leave right now. It's really good, and it will really help your children out, is to, I got so many things going on in my head about children. I love them so much. Is you could do a countdown with them, teach them how to count at a very young age. And you really want to do this really when they're, when they start learning to talk, is start learning the numbers, and getting them to learn what 1 is, 2 is, 3 is, and do a countdown all the time. Is like, And you gotta be honest with your child and yourself when you do these numbers things. You can't just play head games with your children, so because you're going to confuse them. So you always have to be honest as possible with your kids. But if you got to go somewhere and your child is playing a game, or you got to eat, or you got to go do something, is teach them about I'm going to count to 3, and that means that we're done. When I get to 1, 2, and 3, or even 10, depending on the child's age and what you're doing and where you need to be, is so that way you're letting them know is when I count down, that means we have to go. That, because you're mentally getting them ready for, to say, okay, my mom's telling me, in 5 minutes, I got 5 minutes to do this. And then after that, they need to learn those kind of things, so then they don't get upset. You're going to teach them a lot of stuff about not getting upset. And my son, when he had tantrums, he didn't have very many of them. It kind of was like they backfired on him. Is I would be goofy with him, and it's like, hey, you got to stop doing that right now. We got to go. And he didn't want to, so it's like I would sing songs, silly songs, and, it really got him focusing. He knew what the words were that I was saying. They were silly, silly songs where he didn't understand why I was singing these silly songs in the first place. But you know what I did? I was able to, I would sing songs about him. I would use his name and, be goofy with him with these songs. And you know what? Before you knew it, he forgot why he was upset in the first place. And yeah, that does take time, but isn't it better than yelling at your kids and, not really helping out in a situation by yelling at them and, threatening to beat them, when, they're just learning these steps of doing that. So it's so important to be gentle with your kids, and you got to learn patience. See how they are teachers to you? You're not the one teaching. It's like when I was seeing my therapist. At first she was my therapist. Later on, she was the student and I was the therapist. And that even can go with all kinds of stuff out there, is where, and I'm not saying Starlight's like this, but you can have a mentor where the mentor teaches you, and then later on, you could teach the mentor. So it goes like all this, even teachers, teaching their students, like with myself, if you're willing to listen, you can learn. We all have something to teach each other if we have gone through life and learned our lessons in life, something that they might not know anything of, because nobody knows everything. So with your children is that you got to be really patient. And then you got to teach them patience. But in order for you to teach them patience, you got to be patient. Be patient with your children. Understand that each child, no matter if you got 3 kids, the one might learn that quick. And normally what you want is to really focus on the oldest one. And, and that means the oldest one is going to get, it's sad, but the oldest one, but you don't have to be the oldest one to teach the other ones not to do those certain things, because you do want to focus on the oldest one if you have 3 kids. That way the other ones be like, oh, you know what? Because they're going to always, the little ones are always going to look up to the oldest. And then they're going to copy, play, follow the leader and all that stuff with the oldest one. And when the oldest one, this happens over and over, I see it out in public everywhere, is when the oldest one, when they start out, when they have their little brother or sister that just gets born, and then they start learning how to walk and crawl, and the little child will actually look up to the oldest one, or depending on how many kids, there could be a little baby, a year old or 2 years old, and then like a 4-year-old. So, they're going to follow the oldest one when they get in different stages. So, you want to control this one here, the oldest one, because the oldest one is going to learn, hey, I went and did this, and my little brother or sister followed me, and then, this is how they get in a lot of trouble sometimes, is that you got to teach that oldest one to teach the little ones, you know, good habits, you know, to be a good example to the little ones. So this one, you can actually, the oldest one, you can really use that one to be a great example to the other ones. And then same with the second one. When after that one gets old enough, the littlest one is gonna, you know, look up to the one, you know, the other two older ones, you know. So the third one that's been born last has two, you know, a brother and a sister to look up to. So you want to teach them all to be a good example to each other and not to allow fighting and, you know, that kind of stuff. Teach your kids really from a good start that, you know, it's all right to play, but, you know, fighting and stuff like that is not allowed in the household. You know, you really need to teach that because shit can happen behind scenes that you're not even aware of, you know, and it could even happen at other people's houses that you don't even know, that maybe big brother is beating up sister, you know, or big brother is beating up the little brother. And I just seen this the other day. I was at this library, and it was the big sister, and I couldn't believe what she did. You know, her mom was watching it, you know, and I'm like further away, and I witnessed what this, you know, the big sister was doing to her little sister. And, you know, you can't let that shit happen, because, you know, you don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, you know, and it happens. A lot of jealousy happens with the kids. And, you know, it could be, you know, if the oldest one might want attention from the mommy and daddy, and then, you know, they get a new child, and then, you know, the mom and dad have to bring that child up, and they got to teach it stuff. And so the oldest one definitely could get jealous of all the attention that used to go on him or her, you know. And so you definitely got to make sure you teach your kids that is not allowed in the house. It's all right to, you know, have fun like with the brothers, you know, just playing. But when it gets to that point that they're actually hating each other and they want to beat and, you know, really be nasty, that's when you know, you got to let that, you got to control that. You can't let that get out of control, you know, because then what are you raising? You know, and there's a lot of families that do that. They actually, I've witnessed this many times in my life where, you know, they cheer these fights on, you know, like, you know, and it's not really good, because it does cause a lot of problems with both of the children. So anyway, those are things I could go on and on these videos as far as children goes. So you want to teach your kids patience, and about crying is, you know, that don't give them what they want. You know, say, you know what, you got to wait. Learn them about time as quick as possible. Learn them about what time is, you know, and there's so many different ways. You can even set an alarm in your house. And when they hear that alarm, that will be an instant thing. Oh, okay, that means my time is up. And it's a great thing to do, is set a timer in your house, to set that time and say, hey, when the timer's off, we got to go. When the timer's done, and then there's consequences. If you don't listen to what I tell you, when that alarm goes off, I'm taking your rights away from that toy that you want to play with, because you're not obeying. They need to learn about obeying. It's so important, because that's how it is with God, is that we need to obey our parents, because this is right and pleasing in the sight of God, right? So they need to understand that you don't have to beat your children up, you know, to make a point. So don't give your kids what they want all the time. Don't go out and always buy a gift. You know, make them work for these things, you know, and not all the time, because you need balance. Because just because we do good works don't mean that we're always going to get rewarded. You know, so sometimes they can do good works and do great things, but it doesn't mean that you're always going to get paid. You're always going to get, you know, a gift because you went out and did some good deed. They need to have that balance. So anyway, I love you so much. I hope you learned a lot, like I have. I love kids. You want Starlight to babysit? I do. I wanted to have a nursery at my apartment before, but it had to go through my landlord. I wanted to be a foster parent before, but, you know, so anyway, that was then, this is now. So anyway, I love you. I got so much great advice, you know, as far as bringing your kids up and the do's and don'ts of what to do without beating your children. Enough kids have gotten abused in their lifetime. They don't really need that, and they don't really deserve that. So, you know, they deserve unconditional love, just like I hope you don't beat your cats and dogs, you know, because there's some people that treat their animals better than they treat their own kids. I love you so much. You could give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And don't forget the notification bell. And you can also share my videos with your family, your friends, a kangaroo, and a giraffe. And also you could check out my playlist. Plus you could follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that's Kathy with a K, Ding the Starlight. I love you all, and this is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.